and these politicians are just walking off, thinking it's okay Tuesday, and they want to go visit the Trump. They want to blame the Trump.
Infamous, show us that you're black again.
It's a show us that you're black again. Show us that you're black again.
Bro, I don't need it. Bro, I'm not in a zoo, man.
Show us that you're black again.
Be like I'm some kind of zoo animal, man.
You might as well call infamous Russell Wilson.
We have Democrats blaming ICE. I'm tired. My people are suffering. I'm scared for my little brother.
We're on the main road right now, and this is 607, and it is not a transportation company. It's actually a money transfer, but it's registered here. 607. This does not look like Safari Transportation. Where is the transportation company?
I don't see any signs denoting that there's any transportation. It's all just looks like money wiring. But if you look at the Secretary of State's office, state of Minnesota, Safari Transportation, 607 Cedar Avenue, and it's been registered here since 2015. That was the original filing.
So let's see if we have the manager. Let's see if we can find Fod. Hello. How are you? We're looking for the transportation company.
Safari Transportation?
Looking for Safari Transportation?
No, there's no Safari Transportation here.
No Safari Transportation?
Safari Transportation.
Ladies and gentlemen, so these Somalis are scamming, but they're not involved with what's going on with the scam. So the only thing these Somalis are doing is answering the phone calls, receiving the taxpayer's dollar, the hard work back of the taxpayer, but they are not knowledgeable of the actual name. So underneath state treasure, they have it underneath a name such as Safari. But in real life, it's the complete opposite. It's money laundering.
Hey, 607 Cedar Avenue.
We're just looking for Safari Transportation.
We don't know.
So, but this is registered for Safari Transportation, 607.
That's the address.
Okay, we don't know.
We're asking where Safari Transportation is.
We don't know.
Okay, so the business is not here.
Don't record.
Fuad Omar?
Fuad Omar?
We don't know. This, do you see this? What is this?
Money transferring.
That's it.
Okay,
Well, this
registered.
is from the state.
This is fraud taking place. This is supposed to say, this is for Safari Transportation.
Go find out.
Yeah, we did find out. This is fraud right here.
Registered here
This is
since
registered.
2015.
2015?
Safari Transportation, state of Minnesota.
2015. Oh, yeah.
Well, but it's registered now. This is current, just off the state of Minnesota website today.
Please.
This is from today. I just printed this off today. Fuad Omar.
Go check it out.
We're here. This is 607. Where's Safari Transportation?
Okay, it's no Safari, period.
Okay, so it's a fraudulent business.
Did you see Safari anything here?
Exactly.
Did you see?
Exactly. It's not
Did you
here.
see it?
It's a fraud.
Did you see, sir?
Do you see? Do you see that I am a scammer? Do you see? You have the camera in my place and you're exposing my scam. Do you see?
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to the next address. All right, let's keep moving on. So 607, this is supposed to be Safari Transportation, no transportation company. And now we're going to 617, another transportation company. However, it is actually Cedar Riverside Liquor. Where is the transportation company?
Yo, there is no transportation company, ladies and gentlemen. These Somalis are scamming, saying they're doing a transportation service, but in reality, they're sitting on their behind, stealing a taxpayer's dollar. Not just thousands, millions, not just millions, billions of dollars, ladies and gentlemen. That's some crazy work. And the true victim is not the Somalis getting caught. No. The true victim is the taxpayer, the hard-working American doing what's right, providing for themselves to have a roof over their head, clothes on their back, just to find out they're getting scammed. Nasty work.
617.
617 right
Dreamline
here.
Transportation for the state of Minnesota is registered to 617 Cedar Avenue South.
And it's a liquor store. David, they aren't even trying to hide that these are transportation companies. Where are the vans at?
Should we ask?
Let's go ask.
Hey, we're looking for Dreamline Transportation.
What's that, sir?
Now we're in 617, Dreamline Transportation.
No.
Where is the transportation company?
No, we don't have this.
You ever heard of Safari Transportation?
Safari? I know Safari, that money wiring, 607.
The money wiring.
Yeah.
Okay, that's money wiring.
Yeah.
Safari
We're looking for
Transportation.
Safari
Maybe there.
Transportation.
607.
They said they never heard of it.
I never did. Safari company, the money wiring, they send money there. That's the 607.
So Safari gets the money and then they wire it out.
Yeah, the money
That man just said that Safari is actually a money wiring company, so therefore they're receiving money and then wiring it somewhere underneath the name of a transportation company.
We said to go here.
Suite A right here. And then you have 617A right here, but this is reliable services, immigration, travel, and tax. I do not see a transportation company anywhere.
Morning. Hey, we're hoping to find Dreamline Transportation. You ever heard of it?
I've never heard of it. Ask next door.
He said to ask here, that you would know.
Ask next door. This is a mailbox, it's not a road call.
So, Dreamline Transportation could be nothing more than a mailbox. 834.
So it could be one of these mailboxes. Well,
okay, see you later.
607, Safari Transportation, doesn't exist. It's actually a money wiring business. 617, Dreamline, inside of there, it's actually a liquor store. And then 617A is a place where there's a bunch of mailboxes and it says reliable ITT services.
Reliable scam.
How you doing, man?
I just want to ask you,
Yes, sir.
why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we
to-
sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making
We're
good money
looking-
from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No, I'm
For
not.
instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607?
1 second.
It's not there.
How
And why
much-
don't you answer?
How much money are
Why don't you
you?
answer the
How much
question?
money
Where's
are you
617
making?
Dreamline Security?
How much money are you making?
I make money
of
off of
this?
YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing.
That-
This Somalian is focusing on the next man's pockets. He needs to be focusing his attention on clearing the Somalis' name, because the Somalis, man, y'all taking a lot of, y'all in the kitchen right now. Y'all need to find the proper documentation to clear your name. Ladies and gentlemen, the Somalians right now are taking over Minnesota, and he wants to talk about the next man pockets. Stop the cap. This is a goalpost move. Address the elephant in the room that you're a scammer. And if you're not a scammer, show the documentation proving that you're not.
My job
and attacking
is.
the Somali community.
I'm not attacking you guys. We're asking.
I'll tell you the
fraud
reason
is
why
fraud,
this is
sir.
happening. All right, let me tell you the reason why
fraud
you're
is fraud,
attacking
correct?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This
Is fraud.
absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right, and us being from Africa.
Now this man is talking about it has everything to do with being Muslim and Africa. No, it has everything to do with being a scammer. Allah did not tell you to scam. Whoever God that you serve, Allah did not tell you to get the name of the building. Talking about quality learning center with no N in learning. I'm pretty sure Allah did not tell you to steal money from autism. So it's not about the God you serve. It's not that you are from Africa. It's everything about being a scammer. Stop the cap.
This is a constitutional argument. If you don't want us here, change the freedom of religion. Say, listen, we don't want Muslims in this country anymore.
We're not saying that.
No.
We're not
Because
saying that.
When I go
Sir,
onto
we're
your
talking
comments,
about fraud. You're talking.
when I go onto your comments,
My comments
what I
aren't
see
me.
is people that say we do not want Muslims here. Kick every single Muslim in Minnesota out of Minnesota.
That's a comment.
You are listen.
That's not what I'm saying.
You're preparing for the Somali community to maybe be taken to concentration camps, just like
How?
the Japanese community.
How?
All right, you're sensationalizing.
No, we're not.
All right,
Sir,
something that
answer
can
the
listen,
question. Where-
that's something
where
that can,
is the transportation
something that
vehicle
can
company?
jeopardize
Answer the question.
the safety and the protection of the
This is
Somali
fraud.
community.
We're talking
if
about fraud,
anything
sir.
happens to the Somali
We're talking
community,
about fraud.
Listen, I'm not doing anything. I'm
I know,
not physically touching
you're
you.
getting very close.
I'm not physically
You're
touching
very
you.
close.
No, I'm not physically touching you.
This is fraud.
What
We're talking
you're
about
doing,
fraud.
what you're
You're
doing, what you're
defending
doing,
fraud.
when
You're
I go
defending
into your
fraud.
comments,
You're defending fraud.
people who hate Muslims
Okay,
want
people
us
can-
out of here
people can say
for
what they
being
want. I'm not
Muslim,
censoring anybody.
are using your material. Islamophobes
go
use
too
your
far.
material.
You're going too
People
close.
who hate Islam use your material.
close.
Say
All this energy for Islamophobes when it should be showing that you're not a scammer. But instead, you want to say that the receipts, the checkbooks were stolen, is ripped, some intruder stole the checkbooks, and you can't show the documentation. Stop the cap.
I be trying to laugh with the bros.
There was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone. There were also checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book. This is devastating news, and we don't know why this is targeting our Somali community as one video made by a specific...
We don't want you here. Change the Constitution. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Guess what?
Say it. We're asking about fraud.
We're
asking about fraud.
You hate Muslims.
I'm not saying I hate Muslims. We're talking about fraud. We're talking about fraud.
Why are you attacking us?
This
are we
is
the
fraud.
only community that's...
Hit dogs holler. This man said, why are you attacking us? Why are you scamming the American taxpayers' dollar? Everybody else has to go to work and make an honest living and provide for themselves. But yeah, you're stealing billions of dollars from the taxpayer's wallet. When that bread should be going towards something right, like autism, but you want to steal bread away from... How do y'all sleep at night? Ladies and gentlemen, we are sharing this planet with demonic entities. They're able to sleep at night soulless, benefiting off the hard work of the taxpayers' back. That's some crazy work.
Because of fraud?
We're talking about fraud.
Are we the only community that does fraud? Are we the only community that does this?
This is about fraud.
All right, but there's what, 300 Somali providers in all of Minnesota?
There's actually 800.
Don't keep talking. Don't go
so,
do you speak English? Your security doesn't even speak English. Listen, let me tell you something.
See, this isn't a race issue.
This man said your security doesn't speak English. Yo, he's focusing on everything else except for the elephant in the room. Gaslighting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a classic example of gaslighting. Moving the goalposts. Let's address what's really going on. Why do you have a child daycare service without a single child in the building? Why is the windows blacked out like it's a trap house?
This is about fraud.
We have, what, 1,000 providers?
Yeah, you guys have a...
Even it's 2,000 providers. Okay, you want to sacrifice the safety of 80,000 people because of fucking 2,000 providers? Are you fucking mad? Are you stupid?
I'm not stupid. You're stupid. Where's the transportation company?
What about if a mass shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you. If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick fucking Shirley.
This is about fraud.
One single Somali gets hurt.
This is about fraud,
it's because of you. Sensationalizes. You son of a bitch. Sensationalizes.
Wow, you're very nice.
Out of our neighborhood.
Very nice.
Get the f out of our neighborhood.
Sir, can you tell me where the transportation company is?
Get the f out of our neighborhood. We don't want you here. Get the f out of here.
Calm down, sir. Calm down, sir.
Get the f out of here.
Sir.
Yo, if I say this, ladies and gentlemen, imagine going up to the white man talking about get the F out of my neighborhood. What? Yo, Minnesota, y'all need to get it together, like 702 said. You need to get it together. How you letting Minnesota take over your trap like that? Not only did they take over the trap of Minnesota, every single block as a fast food joint, they got a scam talking about child daycare, healthcare, Somali this. Why is Somalis taking over Minnesota? How did it end up like that? Took over the trap.
This is about fraud.
You want clicks?
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States right now is a laughingstock. How are you going to have aliens infiltrate your whole state like that? So much, they're replicating the state flag. It resembles the Somalian flag. That's crazy work. And Trump is finally exposing it. Shout out to Nick Shirley. My question is, how come a YouTuber with the limited resources he has is able to expose this, but these news broadcasters, they have all the equipment, all the resources, all the funding, but they stayed silent? Also, all the bread being transported through the airport to Saudi Arabia. How come not one single TSA agent? No red flags for decades. All these loopholes through the government, ladies and gentlemen. And who's the true victim? Not the Somalis. No, the Somalis getting caught. Don't feel sorry for them. They made their bed. They're going to lie in it. If you want to come to America, and take advantage of your opportunity, that's on you, because people risk their lives to come to America. Now, I understand the United States have a lot of issues. Oh, yes, it has a lot of issues, but let's keep it a beam. It's the land of opportunity. If you're coming from a third world country where the price of $1 is nothing, oh man, life, oh man, you didn't even know the struggle. Some people don't, they complain talking about your feet hurt, man. You wish your feet were hurt. At least you have a job to go to. So if they get caught, that's their business. The true victim, ladies and gentlemen, is the taxpayer. Crazy work. Let's go back into the content.
You're sensationalizing yourself, sir.
You wanted clicks?
You're sensationalizing yourself.
You wanted clicks? You wanted the YouTube?
Tell me where the transportation vehicle is.
Clicks? You got YouTube clicks. Now get the f out of our community.
Tell me where the transportation
vehicle is. Get the f out of our community.
Tell me where the... This is about fraud.
Yo, he's talking spicy, ain't he? Imagine telling the white T man to get the F out of his own. What? How does that fathom in your brain? It's one thing to be upset, but to go to the white T man and say, get the F out of my community, your community. Crazy word.
This is about fraud.
Say I don't want Muslims here. Say it. Say I want to change the Constitution.
No, I don't want to change the Constitution.
Freedom of religion, and I don't want Muslim Somalis in Minnesota. Kick them out. I was born in this country. You have to take the passport away from me. Relax. That is what you are arguing for.
We're not talking.
Change the Constitution.
This is about fraud.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Get the fuck out of our community.
This is about fraud.
Get the fuck out of our community. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Stupid fucking idiot.
Tell me where the transportation company is then.
Get the fuck out of here.
Obviously, for this video, we had to get security because look at this now. All right, we're going. But there is no transportation company in there. Fraud. There were no transportation companies.
No, none.
This isn't about race. This isn't against religion. This is about fraud. We're fighting fraud here. We're not fighting a race.
Well, and this is what happens when you put a spotlight on fraud. The people who are benefiting become extremely violent, and the Somalis are the most violent people I have ever met in my whole life.
Because he couldn't answer the question. Where was the transportation company?
He wouldn't answer the question. All he did was make it about race and then issue threats.
Neither business was there or operating, and giving a very conservative estimate based off of David's numbers and other numbers online, it's fair to say each business is operating with an average of 20 vehicles and with a much lower and generous rate of $25 per trip, and with 10 alleged trips a day, each business is pulling an estimate of $1.3 million in gross revenue, and with those two locations alone, there's over $2.6 million in estimated fraud.
Alright, we're going to the next location.
What's interesting, Nick, is that one of the places we just visited, the 617 Cedar Avenue South,
ladies and gentlemen, millions of dollars daily these Somalis are scamming. Millions, not thousands, millions of dollars for decades. And once again, who's the true victim? Not the Somali getting caught. It's a taxpayer. That's the true victim. The Somalis, your best choice because their bank accounts are frozen. They froze their bank accounts. So you're going to have to travel across the United States somehow, catch a Greyhound, maybe walk. However long it takes you, and you have to swim across the Atlantic Ocean to make it back to your homeland. That's the only way. You have to survive the Atlantic Ocean. Other than that, you're cooked. Your bank account is frozen. Can you even eat?
For Dreamline Transportation, that's the address listed with the state of Minnesota. But the place that we're going right now is going to have vans that say Dreamline Transportation on them, but they haven't moved in months and months. You'll see they're covered with snow. There will be no tire tracks. And so why are they using this address? And all that was in there was a liquor store. And he told us to talk to the guy next door, and those were all just mailboxes. And then the guy next door said, go talk to him. I said, we just talked to him. Obviously, the cover up, and you see how they all stick together, and it's all this intimidation. And thank God we had the security we did there, because that would have been bad.
Now we're outside of this transportation vehicle company right here.
Yeah, and so you can see these are the vans that say Dreamline. You can see the sticker on the window and the numbers on the rear. None of these vehicles have moved in 8 months. I've been taking date stamp photos. All these vehicles are in the exact same spot they were 8 months ago. And look, there's no tire tracks, so they haven't moved.
And this van as well, this is Dreamline. Dreamline was the location where we got chased out from the Somalis on 617 Cedar. And this is a vehicle from Dreamline that actually didn't even exist. It was a liquor store. And now it's here, and the vans haven't moved at all. Literally, no vans and no tire tracks anywhere. If these vans are being used to transport people, whether it be healthcare, childcare, there would be snow tracks. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 vehicles here. No snow tracks anywhere. These vehicles are not being used, and these transportation companies are making lots of money. Meanwhile, there's actually nothing to show for it. Here's all of the vehicles right here. And the vehicles that are coming in and out, like this Toyota, it does not have anything to do with transportation company because there's no stickers on it and there's snow tracks. But the vehicles that are supposed to be used for transportation are literally locked in. Snow is building icicles. No one's even came out to remove the snow off the window. These transportation vehicles are not moving. And then right here, David has more paperwork for Silver Mountain. And there's 3 different companies in the same address.
Yeah.
So when we talk about how all these companies are intertwined, this is a perfect example of that.
And this is why these transportation companies are so essential to the fraud in Minnesota, because they allow the fraud to be supported, as the majority of the fraud is from welfare programs like daycare.
Ladies and gentlemen, scamming through Medicare, through adult day services, intensive residential treatment, integrated community, scamming multiple branches, when all this bread should be used towards actually for people who actually need it. You're taking away the bread from those in need. So not only do they infiltrate Minnesota, but they're scamming away from the disabled, from the needy. That's some crazy work. Let me know in the comment section, should these scammers, should they be deported or should they be persecuted in the United States in the judicial system?
Autism centers and adult daycares and healthcare services, they need to leave a paper trail to make it look like something is happening. Therefore, they use these transportation companies to create that paper trail by saying they are moving people from an adult daycare to a healthcare provider, for example, but they actually never provide the service at the healthcare provider. But that paper trail allows them to continue to bill the state for the money, and everyone gets paid. That's why this fraud is so deep and hard to dismantle, because quite literally everyone is involved.
And it's all because the state of Minnesota never checks.
All right, so this is actually the location for Silver Mountain Inc., LLC, and Co. Let's see if any...
As the Trump Epstein files. Have a nice ring to it. Why not put his name on the outside of the files, too? I mentioned last night the Congressman Jamie Raskin got to review the unredacted files. He found that the president's name, he searched it, appeared more than 1 million times. And that doesn't even include the 3 million pages they still haven't released, which obviously puts MAGA in a bit of a fix. Popping up 1 million times isn't a positive for the Pizzagate party. And so now they're grabbing at anything they can, including a document that says when the authorities were finally closing in on Jeffrey Epstein back in 2006, Trump called the Palm Beach police chief and said, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." That's right. And none of us said a word. And that's the evidence they want people to see right now. Trump also told the cops that Ghislaine Maxwell was evil, which is interesting because his guy in the DOJ moved her to a country club prison, and fewer than 5 years ago, he himself said, "I wish her well." But it's all just something to keep in mind when he mysteriously pardons her next month. Today, it was Attorney General Pam Bondi's turn in the hot seat. And this woman, she's something. This is the kind of woman who, if you lived next door to her, you'd move. You wouldn't even argue with her. You wouldn't you'd just relocate and never go back to the block. Pam Bondi famously said back in February of last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, what he just said, I'm currently in that situation. but I'm not trying to move around. This is too much that you got to consider. You got to hire movers and
Here that she had Epstein's client list sitting on her desk. Somehow that list disappeared because those names are now redacted, and this hearing has been.
On a serious note, ladies and gentlemen, the list that was released is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. They're removing stuff from these files. Now, I seen some crazy work. I was going to upload the photo, but it is not YouTube friendly. I'm going to try my best to keep it as clean as possible to describe this image. So the new image that's circulating around the masses is that they had a whole turkey. I'm gonna speak in code. They had a whole turkey tied up. These elites had a whole turkey tied up on top of the dinner table with stuffing and some type of thing that checks the temperature. I forgot the name, the term of that. Yeah, crazy work. And when I saw that image, ladies and gentlemen, I just have to spread awareness to what's going on because people are not aware of the news that's currently been exposed. And also for the victims that are survivors, what they have to go through to relive this once again because they're trying to move on the torture. Now they have to relive all this nonsense of everyone talking about it. But you know what's done into darkness is going to come to light. We have to persecute these demonic entities. But what's crazy work is that once again the list is getting shorter and shorter. So stuff that's really crazy work is being deleted. But yeah, that's the most recent photo that I seen. They had a whole turkey on top of a dinner table, tied up. And I'm speaking in code, ladies and gentlemen.
On the books for weeks, but the stakes were especially high for Pam because there are reports that Trump was complaining about her for not doing enough to punish his enemies or administer his enemas. So Pam Bondi, with the Trump Epstein files front and center now, had to butter that biscuit as bigly as she could.
I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. The majority of the American people wanted Donald Trump because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. Have you apologized to President Trump? He is the most transparent president in the nation's history.
That's right.
To scrub from its website in September.
Without objection, the gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter, so let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available.
Over 500 times? Yo. Yo, that's a lot of times, ain't it?
Available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President
Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on now. Are they trying to distract the masses so they can delete that Epstein list shorter and shorter as time transpires? That list is becoming smaller and smaller. So the whole Obama outrage, selective outrage, I may say, of him being portrayed as an ape, which I can't play that clip because that's Disney copyright, and all these other things to distract the main elephant in the room. These people are doing the unthinkable, have done the unthinkable, and still are. And they're getting names that apparently was to be released will break the matrix. And that's what I'm trying to understand. If these names, these government officials, high priests, these ministers, I mean, even the Pope, allegedly, if all these people are on the list, how is society supposed to, like, how does that work out? If the prime minister and government officials of the highest of the elites gets caught, what happens after that, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I'm not trying to instill fear. I'm just bringing awareness. These sickos behind closed doors are doing the unthinkable to minors. That's some crazy work. And now it's being exposed in front of the masses. Are they trying to desensitize us for what's coming next? Because that's what they're saying, that too much is being exposed. So what's next? All that you can worry about is yourself at the end of the day. Be aware, but at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. So take care of yourself.
Trump, who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to...
Why is Trump have so many photos with this guy? Like, I'm trying to defend him as much as I can, but it's just crazy work. The evidence, like the receipts are crazy, but you're not guilty until found guilty in the court of law. But speaking of the court of law, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen the court system fail. There was a case where a whole jury had a scammer unanimous guilty, and the judge overturned that ruling. So let me know in the comment section, would you rather the scammers be prosecuted in the court of law, putting trust in the judicial system, or would you rather they just be deported?
Meet with President Trump where he bragged to Trump that, quote, this is a good one. Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who is proud.
Damn. In history?
Prioritize obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions, because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what are we talking about? Convict Texas, some of these perpetrators homicide. That rape these women that are sitting behind you, that you refuse to even acknowledge they are here.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, could I have a few seconds back to make up for the yelling? Thank you. General, did you have anything further to say?
Texas, convicted of homicide. Cecil Joseph, from Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape. Khalid Khan from Afghanistan. That's why they want to talk about Epstein and not what's happening in their own states.
Thank you, General, and thank you for being here. And this has been quite a spectacle to observe today. I think it's sad. I ran for Congress because I thought we had serious problems in this country we wanted to try to fix together, and this performance today, not yours, General, but some of my colleagues, has not shored up my confidence that we are up to the task.
Chairman, good morning, Attorney General Bondi, right here. We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability, to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice. The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted. The email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Only after members of Congress demanded that we
Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video. Who says that? Was that Elon Musk freaky ass?
Freaky frog! He's so transparent, you had to black out his name like 1,000 times. But Pam was so offended by the line of questioning, she got confused. I think she forgot what branch of government she serves.
The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. and the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about.
That's right. You're also caught up with pedophilia. You're not even thinking about your IRAs. That, by the way, did nothing to dissuade the Democrats from hammering her, none more politely than North Carolina Congresswoman Deborah Ross.
You know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a
questions.
subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you.
Did she think she was invited to a mixer? I don't know. It's like speaking to a teenage girl. She keeps talking like that. Epstein's going to come back from the dead and ask for a massage. That went on for almost 5 hours. She's shouting like a crazed dance mom, berating Democrats for giving her chubby daughter a low score.
You're the Attorney General of the United States. You're obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, you don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
I'm
if they're
talking.
not privileged,
Quiet.
Don't yell at me.
I'll reclaim my time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why the United States is portrayed as the laughingstock of the world for clips like this.
This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time. Do you want me to answer or do you want to interrupt? Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you.
This is the Attorney General. They got a blonde. No disrespect to the blondes, but they got a blonde as Attorney General. That's hilarious.
I be trying to laugh with the bros.
The witness is interrupted.
In the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time.
doing theatrics. Let me embarrass.
They got an airhead blonde. What's that movie with that blonde that was trying to become a lawyer?
I be trying to laugh with the bros.
He's a hypocrite. This is so ridiculous. Shame. Shame on you.
Yo, what's that movie, bruh? Like she was wearing pink and she brought her poodle to law school. Ah, man, what's that movie called? Let me know in the chat if y'all know what I'm talking about. It's this blonde, and I think she's rich, but she wants to do her own thing. She goes to law school.
I be trying to laugh with the bros.
Yo, that's the Attorney General.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Oh, for goodness.
Oh, there you go. Someone in the chat. Shout out to Mara Miko. Sorry for butchering your name. Legally Blonde. Yeah, I would definitely not have thought of that. Appreciate that. Legally Blonde. Yo, they don't make movies like that anymore. These movies are just so watered down, crazy work. Let's go back into the content.
Sakes, you're talking about public corruption to me? Whoa. This isn't a circus. This is a hearing. This is not a...
No, it is definitely a circus. And once again, clips like this is the reason why the United States is portrayed as a laughingstock of the world. People are laughing at us, ladies and gentlemen. You got Somalis taking over every corner in Minnesota like it's a McDonald's or Popeye's chicken. And what's crazy work is that they can't even get the name of the spelling right on the building. Talking about Quality Learning Center without the N in learning.
Game, Secretary. I'm Attorney General. My apologies, I couldn't tell. Secretary. I'm Attorney General. My apologies, I couldn't tell.
Big burn from Becca Ballant. C-SPAN suddenly turned into C-SNAP. And it wasn't just Democrats she mud wrestled. She got into it pretty good with Thomas Massie, the Republican co-sponsor of the bill that got the files released in the first place.
It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to
Chairman,
his next question.
it's my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You can
Within
give me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited
what?
you
Gentlemen.
in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome.
Yes. The ultra-conservative congressman from Kentucky who endorsed Donald Trump 3 times has Trump derangement syndrome. Trump himself, the man who tweeted the Obamas as monkeys the other day, solid as a rock. Everyone else is deranged. I mean, seriously. This is there's nothing to defend here. This Department of Justice is hiding the names of people who are not.
Trump reposted that video. He did not make that video, for the record. Was it wrong? Absolutely. I believe the Obama should have been on top of snakes. You would have got your point across if Obama's face was on a snake. But come on now, how you gonna put wherever Obama's from? Because I can't call him a black man. He's not a black man. They will never put a black man in office in the United States. Come on now. You think they will put an African American male in the White House? Stop the cap. Absolutely not. So once again, I believe Trump, excuse me, I keep saying Trump. I believe Obama should have been a snake in that cartoon video. But to put it on an ape is some crazy word. Come on, y'all know what y'all was doing. Come on, man. But I can also double-edged sword. Joe Biden, he was doing the unthinkable to a banana. I mean, the unthinkable. Like, pause. Whoa!
Not victims. Why are they doing that? If they have nothing to hide, why are they hiding names? That's it. That's the only question anybody needs to ask. It's like
they have prime ministers. They have a lot of government officials on this list. And as days transpire, ladies and gentlemen, the list is becoming smaller and smaller. So they're deleting a lot of information on this list.
It's maddening. It's like you know what it is? It's like a conversation you have with a 5-year-old kid. What are you hiding? Nothing. Why are your hands behind your back? Is that a lollipop? You have a lot? No. We know you have a lollipop. Give us the lollipop. That's what this is. It is a brazen cover-up.
You're saying even what you're looking at that is supposed to be unredacted is still redacted, right?
Correct. Sometimes you remove the black redaction and you see a white redaction. And sometimes you try to remove the black redaction and it's all completely redacted still.
Even their redactions are racist. Without Thomas Massie, that guy, we might not ever have seen these files. Not too many Republicans are on board with this, but there are some cracks starting to form in the. Trump himself never gets any of the blame for it. But today, even the reliably crazy Nancy Mace said she's lost all faith in the Justice Department. And Lauren Boebert from Colorado doesn't seem to be having it either.
Do you support any clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? She was saying that
I do not. Okay. I think Ghislaine Maxwell should get more time, and she should definitely be in a harsher prison than what she's in. It's absolutely disgusting.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm late to give my boyfriend a squeezer at Beetlejuice. It would appear that Team Trump is losing support from the cherished MAGA Bratz doll collection.
Do I believe that this administration is going to provide justice for anything in the Epstein files? No, absolutely not, because the president told me that his friends would get hurt. So I have that to go on, and that was the president's words directly to me.
She's been hit on the head so many times she's starting to make sense. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is in a weird period right now. She's in the after quitting Congress, before being revealed as the Masked Singer period of her life. But most of them are standing by their man, and none more so than the always exasperated Greg Kelly of Newsmax.
This whole thing with the Epstein files, President Trump is right. It is a hoax.
If you say it emphatically enough, it becomes true. It is a hoax. If that's true, you do it. You have to hand it to the Democrats. They pulled off one hell of a hoax. They went all the way back to 2004, before he was on The Apprentice, to plant the seeds of 1 million mentions in what we now call the Trump Epstein files. And if you don't believe it's a hoax, well, perhaps you'll change that thought when you feast your eyes on this.
New Brazilian just arrived. Sexy and cute. 9-year-old.
Man, There's some sickos that we share this planet with, ladies and gentlemen.
freaky frog!
Imagine being so sick that you have a organization trafficking minors. Like the most it should go, and I'm not trying to be Kakashi 6ix9ine, is that you're trying to push a little something something across the road to provide for your family. You don't want to work for the man. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? You're doing something illegal, but that's still wrong. Two wrongs will make it right. But you can see at the end of the day, they're trying to provide for their family. What gain do you get from this? It's pure evil. Having multiple files of minors. What's also crazy work to me is that there's a lot of people that are ignorant to the situation, and that's why I'm documenting these videos, ladies and gentlemen, to spread awareness to what's going on. Like, some of these victims haven't even reached double digits in age. What is 9? At 9 years old, I was playing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, clean the house, and I'm straight. Run home and watch wrestling. Couldn't comprehend football. My brain couldn't comprehend the complex sport of football. I was, man, what? Just learning the fundamental skills to play basketball. What is 9 years old? How can some demonic entity? It's one thing to have those intrusive thoughts, but to act on those thoughts is some crazy work. And all these evil people, ladies and gentlemen, if you was to see them in your face, you wouldn't even know. So you can't judge a book by its cover. Let's go back into the content.
Right? But have you ever copied and pasted something from an email and put it into your phone or vice versa? And sometimes it gets all weird. That's what happened here, because the actual email reads as follows. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 19 years old. All right? It's a 19-year-old. I mean, 19's pretty young, but it is legal.
Sure, importing teenagers from other countries for sex, nothing illegal about that. Come on, that's not even only one. That's part of Greg's new nightly segment, Pedo or Typo, that I
think you'll enjoy. And damn, pedo or typo? How is there pedos in the world? Like, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, let's have a grown conversation. If you're a certain age, even if it's 20 years apart, 30 years, I mean, they're grown enough to make that decision. You make your bed, you're going to lie in it. So if you're 21 plus and you want to date a 70-year-old, which I think is crazy work, but that's your business. You're full enough and capable to make your own decisions. But to use that same analogy towards a minor is absolutely taboo. The brain is not even fully developed for a man until 25. I think a woman brain develops at the age of 21, the prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of your brain. A girl can't even decipher really what's going on until she's 21. So you're taking full advantage of life. And what's even that nasty work is these victims have to live on with this nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, when I give poor service to my clients in my place of work, man, that hits home. I ponder what happened, how did I execute poorly, and what can I do to make sure that never happens again? And this is just minor mistakes. These people sleep at night doing the unthinkable to these victims. Soulless. And it's not just anybody, and I'm talking too much. It's the elites Yo, Elon Musk, he was so weird he couldn't even get in. Imagine being so weird they denied your entry into the island. How weird can you be, bro? He said Elon Musk was on his knees begging to get in the party of the weirdos, and they denied his ass. Bro, you got to be a weirdo.
You're a freaking frog.
How do you get denied from a weirdo party? Let's go back into the content.
And while our Justice Department here in the United States might not be looking into any of our elected officials who are named in this mess, in Europe, it's a very different story in Europe. Many government officials have resigned after their ties to Epstein have been revealed, including an ambassador from Norway, national security advisor from Slovakia, the former culture minister of France, the former British ambassador to the United States, British Prime Minister's chief of staff resigned.
Whoa. Hold on. He's talking fast. Y'all not listening. These are all the people allegedly, not even allegedly, 100% on the list. Hold on. We're going to have to replay that. Hold on.
Epstein have been revealed, including an ambassador from Norway, national security advisor from Slovakia, the former culture minister of...
This is worldwide, not just the United States. This Epstein list is worldwide. All these freakos, all these sickos.
You're a freaking frog.
These sickos doing the unthinkable to minors, bruh.
France, the former British ambassador to the United States, British Prime Minister's chief of staff resigned for advising the Prime Minister to appoint that ambassador. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister himself, might be forced to resign. And Prince Andrew is now just a homeless guy named Andy as a result of the Trump-Epstein files.
I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology, and I am currently in the process of getting my certification in paralegal studies. I have been reading and taking notes on the release of the new Epstein files, so you do not have to. I have begun my research with Mr. Trump. Now, he did tell a reporter today...
Now that nothing came out about me...
Wrong. I would like to start off by saying I do think it's a little weird that my notes are dated 1/31 and I have that the Trump name appears in the files 5,333 times, but when I went to go check today, February 4th, it only says 4,820 times. When you first search his name, one of the first...
So that's a huge number difference, ladies and gentlemen. There are deleting files from this list. As we speak, these files are being deleted.
10 data sets that you see. I have to stand on this side to cover some of the words because I'm afraid that TikTok will take this down, but I will just read word for word what it says. Now, they are just stated as victim number 1 or Jane Doe. Jane Doe saw Donald Trump and wanted to meet him. An unknown man approached her and offered to introduce her to Trump. Trump would then auction her. Donald Trump, he then measured the children's and by entering a finger. Now,
Oh man, that's some crazy work. He measured the children by entering. Oh man.
You're a freaking frog.
Donald Trump measured the children by entering. What?
You're a freaking frog.
Nah, bro, that's crazy work, bro. Let's move on, but man, bro. It's a lot going on to start off the year. But it's been going on. It's just now being spread to the light.
now you can probably gauge what he was talking about. The other guests there included Elon, Alan Dershowitz, Bob Musk, Don Jr., Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump. Now, a lot of the other files on there is just random news clippings, random emails, which I'll get into later, and then it goes into one of the first big court cases, Epstein and Trump versus Katie Johnson, who, keep in mind, was a 13-year-old child. And I emphasize, child. Now, people will say that the case was dismissed, but the case was first dismissed because the prosecutor filed it under the wrong form number. So it had to get dismissed by the judge, and then they restarted it a couple weeks later. Okay, let's preface that before anyone says anything else. I moved to the side so you can pause and read more if you would like to, but the first allegation is that Donald Trump engaged in depraved acts with the 13-year-old. The second one is that he made her 8. The third one is that both Epstein and Trump tied her up and raped her.
You're a freaking frog!
A 13-year-old. And the fourth one, because I'm not going to read any more after that, is that they took her to a lot of parties for children and auctioned her. That is one of the many court cases that Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein were involved in, not including with other children. Now, that was in 2016. Let's jump it all the way back to 2004. So 14 years prior to this, they already started a friendship, as much as he would like to deny that he did not know him. So in 2004, Trump often visited Epstein in his Palm Beach house. Now, this has already been confirmed in the depositions of Epstein's houseman. He bought the house for $41 million from Trump at Palm Beach. Now, that did not turn out so well because they got into a big catfight. Trump said in a New York Magazine interview that in 2002, he had already been friends with Epstein for 15 years, so they have now been friends for 17 years at this time. So, at the time of 2004, Trump would often visit Epstein in his Palm Beach house, which was confirmed in depositions of Epstein's houseman. Now, in Palm Beach, Epstein wanted to buy a house for $41 million. Now, when Trump said in an interview in 2002 with New York Magazine that he had already been friends with Epstein for 15 years. So now in 2004, they had already been friends for 17 years. In 2004, Trump would often visit Epstein in his Palm Beach house. This was confirmed in the depositions of Epstein's houseman. So Epstein wanted to buy a house for $41 million in Palm Beach from Trump. Trump ended up slipping in at the very last minute and buying it for $55 million. Then they said they got into an intensive scrutiny over paperwork, so they ended up selling the house for $125 million. And this was all said in an email by Michael Wolff, who was an American journalist at the time. And here's the paragraph with all the information. Now, you can look up Michael Wolff right here. He is currently being sued by the Trump administration for leaking a lot of emails. Also, he was co-conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to take down Donald Trump. Now, if you go back into the files and you just type in this email, which is one of Jeffrey Epstein's personal email accounts, one of them, you can see all of this 650,000 emails. I have already started to creative list of all of the different names that I see in the emails. I will go into them later.
You think Epstein was the scandal? That was the bait. Real architects sit on thrones, wear robes, and drink wine while feeding on children's souls in Vatican crypts. Look, let's name what they won't. The 13 bloodlines that run the world aren't who you think. Orsini, Aldo Brandini, Pallavincini, Medici, Breakspear, Farnese, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Warburg, Hanover, Lee, Bruce, Habsburg. These are not old money. They are Baalic parasitic bloodlines. Ritual sorcerers who hijacked empires and installed mind control systems under the illusion of religion, politics, and finance. Where's their origin point? Venice. The black Venetian nobility ran Babylonian blood cults under Catholic masks. They merged with the Vatican, embedded into the Jesuit priesthood, and exported global slavery through maritime law, trapping you in birth certificates, taxes, and silent contracts with no consent. Venice wasn't a city of romance. It's a sacrificial basin. Why do you think the Pope wears a fish hat? That's not Christian. That's Dagon, a Nephilim water demon.
Headed human sonic fox.
Look, Epstein wasn't a financier. He was a human trafficker for the priest class. He ran blackmail rituals for the elite. Orgies timed to celestial gates using children pre-programmed through MK Ultra satellite nodes. Who funded him? Rothschild-backed banks. He admitted this. Mossad and CIA intelligence mergers. Chabad Lubavitch financiers masked as philanthropists. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell still alive? Because her father, Robert Maxwell, was a triple agent field operator for the Vatican, Chabad, MI6 axis. Epstein's Island's temple is a mirror replica of Baal's altars in ancient Tyre. Literally, the owl statues, not for aesthetics, they're invitation gates for entities. Comment, scroll, and I'll send you the full decoded map. Families, cults, islands, bloodlines, oaths, nothing hidden, everything unveiled. Think about it. Why do the Masons care more about rituals than politics? Because politics was just a front. The true power is ritualized trauma. Here's exactly how they move. Jesuits equal infiltration and education. They wrote your textbook, scripted your news, and flipped your morals through semantic inversion. Freemasons equal gatekeeping plus maintenance grid. Lodges are ritual fields, not clubs. The checkerboard floor, it's a dimensional binding grid. Chabad Lubavitch equals economic controllers of AI, neuroscience, and cloning. They bankroll the puppet governments, own biometric patents, and sit on quantum computing boards. All three serve the Black Sun priesthood. Shadow Vatican that answers to no government, no court, no god you were taught about. They install presidents, they run wars for soul harvest, and they script pandemics not just for population control, but for ritual sacrifice and initiation of mass trauma loops. Look, everything you were taught was a ritual veil. They fed on your doubt. They survived by your silence. But you're the anomaly. You remember. Comment, scroll below, and I'll send you the unredacted scroll. Vatican.
The DOJ in emails that the DOJ is protecting. And we're talking about people on both sides of the aisle. We're talking about famous people, rich people, people in power, prime ministers, former presidents, etc., media personalities that are named in these files. And that's why I say this is going to go down as the greatest cover-up, one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. And I don't believe the girls are actually going to see justice, which is why it's going to be incumbent upon people like Democrat Ro Khanna, Republican Thomas Massie. I'm a Republican myself who's willing to name some of those names in our committee work, on the floor of the House, whatever it takes, because this kind of thing cannot continue to go on. I want to give the next girl hope that when she comes forward, she won't be shamed. Her life won't be smeared in the Daily Mail or whatever the next press, is going to do. What they do to female victims and to children is disgusting because they're protecting their rich and powerful friends. But you'd be surprised, shocked even at some of the names in the file.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes.
Oh my God. I let it breathe. And somehow these victims find a reason to live. And that's why I have no sympathy for people that commit the S word or just cry and whine, making excuses for their situation. What's the excuse for people that are truly victims, such as the Epstein minors, that eventually have to grow up and really understand, because they don't really know what's going on as a minor. When they grow up and really dissect that, man, that could really break apart somebody. I mean, I've seen people falling apart for way less. It just goes to show the strength of these victims to persevere and still fight, still have a reason to live, still find a reason to get up in the grand rising. Once again, I know people that take themselves out for way less, way less. What happens to you is not your identity. And by her still continue on to live on this green planet, she is showing strength to many others that may face themselves in unfortunate situations, but they can look up to her, for example, and be like, if she has a reason to live, then so do I. Because, man, what was done, God knows what was only done, but justice will be done. Not maybe not on this world, but there's something called karma. You may come back as a cockroach. you may come back as a cockroach, man.
And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and.
Oh, man.
But you would be shocked, Pierce, that some of the names that I have seen that came across the DOJ in be shamed. Her life won't be smeared in the.
And I was not the only girl on that island. Jeffrey and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old.
27 for her. And now they have to relive that hell. But they have a lot of courage for speaking out. Because who wants to admit what was transpired in the past as a minor? That's very embarrassing. But they had no control over that. They were just kids. Kids that was taken advantage of by grown-ass men. The same man that's supposed to protect the community is taking advantage of minors. And it's your everyday face, people that you would see at the grocery stores. So you cannot judge a book by its cover. Don't take, just because somebody smiles in your face, don't think it's sweet. You have to use your spirit of discernment.
When Liz Stein was being trafficked, I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on.
Our dad, he forces me and Gabriel to do it. But because we can't, we're not strong enough to cut the baby's head off. He has us to hold a knife, and he puts his hand at the top of our hand, and he helps us to cut the baby's head off. Because he's learning, he's teaching me and Gabriel, so when we're older, to do it to our own children and do this kind of stuff to our own children.
Where is it this that happens?
The church, the kitchen in our church.
The kitchen in the church.
Yes, they got.
So, right, this string. Tell me about this string.
So it's just like, it's not just like just a thin normal string. It's a bit thick. It's like maybe that thick.
Okay.
And they tie around, like in a circle. Hang it up on a
Where do they tie it to on the baby?
So it's like on legs. So they put the legs together, tie it on, and so it's like one string attached, and it's hanging upside down. They get the knife, but they don't just cut it off absolutely. It's still on. So it's just like the head off, but it's still hanging on.
So okay.
Yes, and then there's a big white bowl on the floor, and the blood drips in, and then we pour it in a big silver goblet.
Okay, so where's this white bowl? Where did they get the white bowl from?
They bought the big white bowl.
From where?
There's any shop, any white.
And where did they get the bowl from this time?
Any shop.
And the devil,
100%.
the devil
himself.
The devil himself said, "I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life."
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious.
A man started smiling when he was asked, "Do you think you're the devil?"
Question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody knows.
Smart?
You familiar with the Stu Peters? Does that name ring a bell?
I'm sorry. What?
Are you? This
gentleman here, ladies and gentlemen, is, I believe his name is Nash Patel or something like that.
You familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
Not off the top of my head.
You made 8 separate appearances on his podcast.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Always love coming on your show.
Okay, Kash Patel.
I be trying to laugh with the bros.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for making the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate it. See you soon.
I gotta go, Kash. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
up
Stu.
against a hard break here. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Stu.
Kash Patel, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Stu. Appreciate it.
Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton. Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once. when he was
Weak sauce.
And
Weak sauce.
also, I want the record to reflect that, you know, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh,
from the
is
river
Jewish. I just want to be
as
clear.
anti-
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why America is being laughed at. Why do they got Legally Blonde as the Attorney General? They got a hot blonde as the Attorney General.
Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust?
My time.
Really?
The committee will be in order.
Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism.
The ranking member knows that.
The Luciferians cast a spell on the world. And,
For real?
Oh, absolutely. It's just like how vampires can't go into a house unless they're invited. They tell you, what's going on ahead of time. It's predictive programming. And once you say it out loud and you put it out there and make fun of it and do a little skit like Stephen Colbert did a little skit on his show where, oh, here's a baby. I'm going to take this baby and I'm going to give it to Moloch. And he goes into like a cloudy red, furnace and hands the baby over. And he's, oh, the baby's going to be fine. And they make a joke about it and the audience laughs. Okay, we're all now conditioned to it. We've all seen it. And by laughing at it, we were complicit.
You think that that's on purpose, that this is like some sort of a grand design to get us to be desensitized to the idea of demons eating babies?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
For sure. And by the way, nobody's doing anything about it. We know what's happening.
But that has to take, there has to be a person or some group of people.
Yeah, about 8,500 people. Yeah.
That are manipulating the Colbert Show?
They're manipulating everything. It's all an illusion. Reality as we know it is fake. That's the revelation that guy is having. And he's looking around and he's like, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, the thing about the emails is, one of the things is it's just stuff written down. And so that's sort of hard to digest. What is this? What are they saying? Some of it is in code, like walking over beef jerky. Talking about jerky, could you walk beef jerky over to this person? What does that mean?
For all this pizza they're talking about, you never see any pizza.
Right. Yeah. They're ordering pizza.
I'm going to get some grape soda. It's like with my cheese pizza.
Yeah.
And there's all this coded language and everyone's like, oh, that's you just have pareola. You're just seeing things where you want to see them.
No, there's clearly a code. Well, that was the thing about Pizzagate.
It's absolutely a code. And in fact, mundus vult decepi, ergo decipiatur. It's a long-known concept. And so in Latin, mundus vult decepi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decipiatur. Therefore, it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
Well, I think with the Epstein files, people are, because of these emails that have been released, people are just now starting to be aware of the bizarreness of the code and some of the things, like the facts. Let's just talk about the sulfuric acid. So this was right after he was indicted in 2018.
Yeah, I got to get rid of some bodies.
Yeah.
I got to dissolve up some bodies.
What did it say he ordered?
Let's 8,000 gallons.
Maybe we can get our sponsor Perplexity to process this and give us a synopsis of what exactly happened, some sort of a breakdown. Because one of the things they're saying is he was indicted, and then right after he's indicted, he orders how many gallons?
6 55-gallon containers full of sulfuric acid.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. What?
They're eating babies, man. That's
you think so that you think is real. So
well, yeah. Not only that, I think that there's sacrifices going on every day in Los Angeles. I mean, allegedly, high level musicians, let's say, high level female musician is killing chickens every day, doing sacrifices.
High level.
I don't want to say. I don't want to say names because I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to be dead either.
What does it rhyme?
So the Epstein files have been released, and many things that us conspiracy theorists have been saying for so long
are starting to be confirmed. Things like the elites performing child sacrifice, human sacrifice, weird blood and sex rituals. I just made a video explaining the history of human and child sacrifice within the elites, specifically within the ancient Israelites or the Jews, and you should definitely check that out if you want to have a better understanding of what I'm going to explain in this video. So in this video, I'm going to explain why the elites have such an obsession with the ancient Canaanite deity, Baal. Now, I'd like to just start off by saying that I know when you think of Baal, you usually think of a demon, and he actually only became demonized when the ancient Israelites decided that they wanted to move into monotheism, so they turned all the other gods besides Yahweh into demons and angels. So to the ancient Canaanite tribes, Baal was not a demon, he was actually a god, and a very revered god, as the first son of El. He was a storm god, basically like another version of the Sumerian Enlil or the Norse Thor. And if you're wondering why that is, that's pretty much because almost every ancient religion borrowed their theology, their pantheons, from the ancient Mesopotamian or Sumerian pantheon. So the Sumerian storm god Enlil later became Baal Adad to the Akkadians, and then later became Baal Hadad to the Canaanites. And then also you had the Greeks with Zeus, you had the Norse with Thor. So it's important to understand that Baal was originally a god, and this would make more sense as to why they would actually sacrifice humans to him. So why are they obsessed with Baal? Can't they just sacrifice to Yahweh or something? Yes and no. Let me explain. So obviously, I do not believe that these gods are real beings, like real entities that they're sacrificing to, and that they're real out there somewhere. But I do believe that the elites do have contact with either interdimensional or extraterrestrial negative beings, negative entities. And I believe that these beings are the reason that we have religion. I mean, even the Bible talks about the fallen ones, right? The Nephilim that were here before the flood. And so I believe that this group of negative beings influenced our society into worshiping them. Think about how easy it could be if you could go to another planet that had a civilization that was barely developing, and you could come and walk among them. You could literally influence them to do whatever you want. And so I believe that these beings have kept themselves alive throughout our history through the worship of beings like Baal, like Yahweh, like all of these deities. And although I'm not sitting here saying that religion is bad and it's, bad for society, but we do know the power that religion has and how it has been used in the past to control people. And so I believe that the reason that they are obsessed with Baal is not only to empower that negative group of beings, but also to continue the perpetuation of religion. Because even today, religion is still one of the biggest forms of control and easily one of the biggest forms of separation, of division. Like, humans have been fighting for thousands of years about whose religion is right and whose religion is true, literally going to war for this. And it's crazy because those wars were ordained by God. They were ordained by Yahweh. So I believe that the elites know this, and they continue to perpetuate this by being the evil side, by being the opposite side that's worshiping the devil, that's worshiping Baal, that's sacrificing children to them, so that you have the other side come and be like, oh, you see, guys, this is why we need to move to religion. This is why we need God in our lives. And again, I'm not saying that all religion is bad, because of course there are aspects of every religion that are extremely positive and loving. But there are also aspects that are really horrific. Like, if you read the Quran or the Old Testament, they endorse things like slavery, like misogyny, like child marriage, like sacrifice, things that we would consider pretty bad today. And so ultimately, I believe that the reason why they're obsessed with Baal is not because they think that he's an actual god out there somewhere, but because they know that if they want to continue being in power and continue perpetuating the religion and the division that religion creates, they have to play the opposite side. And you might ask, well, what do the elites get in return from these negative beings, these negative entities? And the answer is knowledge. Knowledge on how to control us, which has clearly been working for them for a while. So that's it for this video. I know it can sound a little crazy, but to be fair, considering what we've seen come out in the Epstein files, can we really just afford to disregard things like this? Like, if the people who literally control the world are involved in spiritual and occult-like practices, isn't it time for us to start thinking more about that realm of reality? But anyway, that's it for this video. If you guys liked it, follow
really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer, right or wrong, raping children?
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens?
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States?
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massey, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ, because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter, so let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, this is a good one. Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
Yo, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this current world. Something in the chat caught my eye that is hilarious. gotta make light of the situation somewhat. I know it's crazy work. Henry Morales 3558 says she sounds like an angry, ignorant liberal. Yo, let's go back to the content.
General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what are we talking about? Convict some of these perpetrators that rape these women that are sitting behind you that you refuse to even acknowledge they are here.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, could I have a few seconds back
bet,
to make
you
up
bet.
for the yelling? Thank you. General, did you have anything further to say?
Texas, convicted of homicide. Cecil Joseph, from Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape. Khalid Khan, from Afghanistan. That's why they want to talk about Epstein and not what's happening in their own states.
Thank you, General, and thank you for being here. And this has been quite a spectacle to observe today. I think it's sad. I ran for Congress because I thought we had serious problems in this country we wanted to try to fix together. And this performance today, not yours, General, but some of my colleagues, has not shored up my confidence that we are up to the task.
Minnesota. So we think it's at least $19 billion of fraud, medical, every fraud. Somalia has come in here. What they've done to our country, these people, they've come into our country, and what they've done with that fake congresswoman, she's so bad. No, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We have the best people maybe in the whole country looking at that. We're looking at California too, because California is worse. But, if we find 50%, look, they've been robbing and ripping off this country for many years, for decades, right? If we find 50% of what's happened, we have a balanced budget without cutting anybody. We have a balanced budget. And we'll find that Minnesota is very corrupt. California is very corrupt. A lot of states are very corrupt. Take a look at Minnesota. So we think it's at least 19.
So there's Trump. He's talking about it. They're saying it's at least $19 billion. David, what do you think the actual real estimate is?
So I believe that when the dust settles on this, we're going to find that the fraud is at least 30 billion, and it could go as high as 80 to 100 billion. And that is in Minnesota alone, because you have to include grants, NGOs, nonprofits, housing, SNAP, Feeding Our Future, all of these things. It's such a massive number that I don't know that we'll ever be able to get all of the money accounted for. But what I can say is that everybody who enabled this fraud is a traitor to the United States of America, and the stain of their treason will be on our country forever.
100%. And Trump brought up Ilhan Omar. How much do you think she's involved with the fraud?
Like I said in our second video, Ilhan Omar is the godmother of all this fraud, not just in Minnesota, but nationally. She helped put together this whole fraud network that we're now seeing exposed throughout the country. And we're seeing it in other countries as well. We're seeing it in Sweden, we're seeing it in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Denmark. And again, I go back to the fact that all of this fraud was constructed here in Minneapolis. They tested it out, and then they expanded it out, not only nationally, but internationally. And now we're seeing the pushback from people who are saying, wait a minute, I've seen these daycares, I've seen this transportation fraud, they've seen it with their own eyes, and now people are starting to go out there and do their own investigation. And we see the violent reaction from these fraudsters once they're exposed, because obviously they've been living the high life without working. And here you have people who get up and go to work every day. They work hard, they're honest, they're hardworking, they're raising their family. And these people are spitting in their faces and laughing at them because they're getting millions of dollars without doing a single thing. And it's all because these politicians allowed it to happen.
And what's funny is we know these politicians have enabled it to happen because after months of this news coverage, they have literally came on TV and said the fraud's very real. Mayor Fry said that on live TV. Tim Walz has said this fraud thing happens in all 50 states. Like, they just openly admit to the fraud on television. They're acting like it's just something that we should have to deal with as tax-paying citizens, that we should have to deal with a portion of our taxes going towards the fraud. And when in reality, they know about the fraud, and they're the ones who are controlling and enabling that fraud to happen. And by no means is that right for them to just say, yeah, we know fraud's happening, this fraud thing, when in reality, they could be the ones cracking down on it.
Well, not only that, but every time a fraud was committed, so every time a fraudulent payment was issued or a fraudulent payment was accepted, we have millions of such cases. Every one of those is a felony. And the people of America are tired of these people getting away with this fraud and just saying, okay, my bad, yeah, there was fraud, and go on to the next thing. They want people to be arrested, handcuffed, brought in front of a judge, and put in prison for what they've done. Prison.
And so far, from what you've seen and what you've heard, do you think any of them will be put in prison?
I'm hopeful, but when I help a guy here in Minneapolis get convicted of $7.2 million of fraud, a unanimous jury verdict finding him guilty, and the judge, Sarah West, overturns the verdict, and that guy's out walking free now and still collecting money from the government, I have to collect myself and say, look,
That's absolutely trash. How are you going to have a unanimous decision from the jury just for the judge to overturn it? What? So that's why I believe these scammers should be deported. Let me go to the chat, see what the votes is talking about. So we got 266 votes so far. We have 90% voting yes, they should be deported. 10% voting no, they should not. Now, for the 10% that thinks they should not be deported, do you have trust in the judicial system to do what's right? Because as you just heard from David, the gentleman to the right, he just stated that he caught someone that was committing scam, and through the court system, the jury had a unanimous decision saying that that scammer was guilty, and the judge overturned it. That's something y'all gonna have to rely on if the judicial system is gonna do what's right, because the judge can overturn a ruling. That's some crazy work. I say get them out of here, deport them, send them back, because they had full opportunity to appreciate the United States. Now, once again, the United States, does it have its issues? Absolutely. Y'all saying the Epstein files getting exposed is at least really unthinkable. The United States has, it's not just the United States, it's worldwide, but of course the United States has its issues, but let's not downplay the land of opportunity. You can turn $1 out of 15 cents. In some countries, such as Venezuela, the price of $1 is nothing. They throw the money on the street. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. They throw the currency on the floor in Venezuela because it has no value. So if you reside in America, you can make some change and send bread back home where there's no value and provide for your family. I mean, the price of $1 in the Philippines, my goodness, the price of $1 in Mexico, people come to America and send money back home to their loved ones and eventually get the proper documentation to get their visa to live in America. So people that reside in America are scamming? That's some crazy work. People work from sunrise to sunset. Happy to work. At least they have an opportunity. Meanwhile, you got these Somalis with open thong sandals scamming the taxpayer's wallet.
Justice and truth are going to win out, because that is such a punch in the gut when a judge does that. But I have to believe that at the end of the day, we're going to be successful in what we're doing, which is exposing the fraud and getting people sent to prison.
Yeah, I think people need to know about this, because a lot of people about that, what you just talked about, the guy who got charged for $7.2 million. And then the jury found him guilty, but then somebody came in last minute and reversed it. He was literally found guilty. And let's actually watch this. It's about 3 minutes. It shows this let's see. Here it is. It shows what actually happened with this verdict, because it actually is crazy that they found this guy guilty of $7.2 million and they let him walk free.
A big reversal in a $7.2 million fraud case in Hennepin County. The judge has thrown out the jury's guilty verdict. This is a case Lou Raguse has been following since the beginning. The judge's actions could make it harder to prosecute state fraud cases in the future. Lou?
Julie, it's extremely rare for a judge to reverse a jury's verdict in a criminal case. Jurors I spoke to today told me it was not a difficult decision to find Abdi Fattah Yusuf guilty in a Medicaid billing scheme, and they're surprised by this development. At the August trial for Abdi Fattah Yusuf, the jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company, Promise Health, out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located. Yusuf and his wife, Lol Ahmed, were charged with stealing $7.2 million of taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant.
That's some, ladies and gentlemen, when I turn off the stream, I'm going to hit the road and see if I can finesse the streets the legal way. Actually making an honest living. Meanwhile, these Somalis are getting millions of dollars. No, it's about time they get exposed, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely not.
Or PCA scam. The couple allegedly spent tens of thousands of the fraud money on luxury items for themselves, despite the
Michael Kors. They was buying Michael Kors. Over 80K was spent at designers. And where did the money come from? The taxpayer, ladies and gentlemen. Your taxpaying money. How does that make you feel? Nasty word.
jury swiftly convicting Yusuf, Judge Sarah West last week decided they got it wrong.
It's reversing or overturning a jury's verdict.
Defense attorney Joe Tamburino, who's not affiliated with this case, reviewed the decision and analyzed it for KARE 11 News. He says Judge West ruled that the state's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence and that she believed the state did not rule out other reasonable inferences.
That, in fact, there could have been other reasonable theories other than guilt in this case. That's what it comes down to.
Despite the ruling, even Judge West wrote that she is troubled by the manner in which fraud was able to be perpetuated at Promise Health.
I was stunned.
State Representative Kristen Robbins, chair of the House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, says she's now reviewing if any state laws need to be tightened.
We want to strengthen state law so that we can get prosecutions out of these cases, because clearly a jury thought he was guilty.
Jurors in the case can't believe the decision.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked based off of all of the evidence that was presented to us and the obvious guilt that we saw based off of the said evidence. It was not a difficult decision whatsoever. The deliberation took probably 4 hours at most based off of the state's evidence that was presented. I was beyond.
So it was clear as day, this scammer that he's referring to, that was unanimous choice by the jury, found guilty, overturned by the judge. Sometimes these cases last way more than 4 hours. This gentleman that is giving his statement says it only took 4 hours for the jury to unanimously decide the scammer was guilty, and the judge overturned it. So that's why I put up the poll. We got 280 votes. I believe the true way to go about this is to get them out of here. You took full advantage of your opportunity. People risk their lives to come to America, and instead of working and changing your situation, you scamming the American taxpayer's wallet. Stop the cab. Get them out of here. Because this case that's on the screen, the judge gave the scammer a pardon. So these officials are in on the scam as well. Can we put trust into these government officials? It's looking suspect, ladies and gentlemen.
And a reasonable doubt.
The attorney for Mr. Yusuf, Ian Burrell, sent me a statement today that says, in part, Judge West's ruling affirms what we have maintained from the beginning, that our client, Mr. Yusuf, was wrongfully accused and did not commit fraud or racketeering. The Attorney General's office filed an appeal this afternoon. So the Minnesota Court of Appeals will take a second look at this decision, Julie.
So, Lou, did Mr. Tamburino, was he Did he have any kind of emotional reaction? And this is pretty stunning. This does not happen.
Yeah, he leaned towards the idea that this was kind of a one-off and that it would have a good chance at appeal. But the worry is that there's so many other cases just like it, where somebody's in the exact same position as Mr. Yusuf, but is charged with fraud. And if the judge can determine that maybe they didn't know that the fraud was going on underneath them in the case, then other judges could throw it out just like this one.
All right. Do you know how quickly
So there you have it right there. Man who's found guilty by jury just got overturned. $7.2 million. And how many more cases like that do you think are in Minnesota where there's one individual who's been caught for $3 million, $1 million of fraud?
Well, I think there are a lot of cases that are being worked on right now, and that is such a disgusting reversal by Judge West. And that's what goes back to what I'm saying, that the heart of this fraud is here in Minneapolis, that a guy can get off a unanimous jury verdict. I helped put that guy behind bars. That was my work to find that was a fraudulent healthcare company. And I said, it's a mailbox. There's nothing here but a mailbox. And I had to keep sounding the alarm. So finally something got done. It was so egregious and so bad. But there are hundreds of those same companies out there that we've been exposing. Look at the
That's why we're documenting this series, ladies and gentlemen, to bring awareness to the fraud and the scamming that's going on in our own country that I had no idea about. Crazy work. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. That is my time. I'm going to leave my take with this. There's a lot of craziness that's going on in the world. With that being said, do not let that distract you from what's really important, and that is you. Don't be ignorant. Don't turn a blind eye to the evil, but also don't neglect yourself, because we do everything for everybody else, but we don't take care of ourselves. You do everything for the next person while neglecting yourself. Stop the cap. Absolutely not. Take a walk, take a breather, take a nap, recharge. But to be so indulgent to this information to where you're at a zombie state, because this is some crazy content, scamming, Epstein, it could be overwhelming. Take a break, come back to it. People are just mindlessly because it's very shocking. And what also I want to say as well is that people are ignoring what's going on. That's also crazy work. How are you going to ignore minors being mistreated by elites? No, we have to bring awareness to the situation. They've been trying to hide it for so long. Somebody got to talk about it, because if it was one of your loved ones, oh man, you would have raised a storm. You wouldn't sleep. So if we're all equal, if we're all one, how you're not empathetic of the situation? People are just, because it didn't happen to me, it is what it is. It's Friday night, Friday 13th, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say don't enjoy your life, but don't turn a blind eye to the crazy work that happened to these minors. Like, crazy work. Once again, let me know your take on the situation of what's going on. May it come through later on tonight. Subscribe to this platform and also hit the bell notification so you will be notified when I do go live. I'm out of here.
My people are suffering, and these people just walk off. We have a governor who fucking doesn't care. How many more people are gonna freaking die? How many more people are gonna go homeless?